So I was thinking about this today. Actually, I had a friend actually in the Reclaim Your Kingdom group. He posted this question, a really deep question around his own personal circumstances, that he's really struggling with life, and he's done a lot of deep work on who he is, and he really has, and he feels that he's not seeing the results. He feels he's not seeing the benefit of this deep work that he's doing, and he's becoming disheartened. As we were speaking about difficulty, and so it got me thinking about two main ways that we deal with difficulty, and one way that we probably could deal with difficulty and we don't. And so the first way I was thinking was that we move into perpetuating our difficulty because it's familiar to us. So let me give you an example of my own life. And I looked at my own life and I thought, wow, as a kid, I experienced a lot of shame, and I also experienced a lot of being told I was wrong a lot. And so that caused me to really be shy. And so the difficulty that I was perpetuating was this shyness in my life. Like, I'd only want to be with people that I was familiar with, that were safe to me, that I felt safe in, that I could have a conversation that made sense, or where I could actually throw around some intellectual swagger, along those lines, like where I was cognitive. And so for me, it wasn't until I started to check with these difficulties that I was experiencing and the fear that was underpinning these painful situations that I began to say, wow, I think I'm actually too shy. I think I'm really not getting out of my comfort zone. I'm not really challenging myself. And so I wasn't extracting the difficulty, or the lesson rather, the wisdom that the difficulty could give me. I kept just perpetuating more of it because it was familiar. And so my ego self and my brain and everything that I was just wanted the familiarity around it, because familiarity and comfort is safe. But really, I was perpetuating that difficulty and it wasn't really serving me. So what I did in that case was I started thinking about that, and I thought, okay, what can I do to be less shy? So to meet new people, maybe go to different functions and parties. I did something called Toastmasters, which helped me learn to speak a little bit better. And clearly I'm still learning to speak better, but anyway, or I'm still learning to speak betterer. But anyway, I'm getting there. I'm learning to speak better. And so the point is that I took myself out of my comfort zone because I realized that me being shy was me perpetuating a difficulty that was just familiar, and it wasn't really serving me. It wasn't getting me out into the world. And sharing my message and being truthful and teaching and sharing wisdom and learning is something that's of really high value to me. And so that's the first way I think that we perpetuate difficulty, through familiarity. The second way is through avoiding. And hey, guess what? I've fucking been there as well. And so I've perpetuated my difficulty. And so difficulty can be a word that we can substitute with pain or with fear as well. And so I've stayed in difficulty, pain and fear by avoiding it. But this is really interesting. This would be interesting for me, for my own personal journey as well. And so I would do everything to avoid it, whether it was alcoholism in my earlier years, excessive physical training and exercise, womanizing, overworking, so workaholism, avoidant practices, just nothing wrong with having fun, by the way, excessive to the point where I wasn't dealing with my pain and my fear. And it still kept impacting and influencing my life. And so an example of that was me being super aggressive in the world. I was frustrated, I was agitated, I was angry so often. And so instead of dealing with the anger, which came from, for me, it was childhood trauma, growing up in a volatile environment, growing up surrounded by abuse, and then linked as well to not having a voice or not thinking I had a voice, instead of dealing with that anger and allowing a healthy expression of it by acknowledging it and then going through the tools and the processes, I would just avoid it. And I would do anything and everything to avoid it. Some people are addicted to the honeymoon period. And so they move from relationship to relationship, not really dealing with their wounding, not dealing with their pains. And we become very good at this. These avoidance strategies, these coping strategies, we become very good at, we become very effective at them. I know I was. And again, it was all unchecked for me. So until I really looked at that stuff, and until I really got a handle of it and acknowledged it and owned it, ownership is such an important part of all this, I wasn't able to deal with that difficulty and that pain and those fears that were really driving my behavior in the world and also driving the quality of the life that I was living. And so one clear and effective way to deal with our pain and our fear and our difficulty is to acknowledge it, is to recognize it, is to surround ourselves with people that can support us, systems, frameworks, processes, tools, people that can serve us, people that actually feel and project compassion and empathy towards us, where we don't feel so judged, where we feel more connected to who we are, we feel more connected to our truth, and we're able to be more at peace with who we've been, therefore allowing us to go deeper into this pain, this fear, this difficulty. And so having a support network around us really serves that. Being willing to look at the pain that we experience really, really serves us. And it helps us be better human beings, more present human beings. Presence is such an important thing. I lacked so much presence. I was always looking for what's next. I was always looking for not being satisfied with where I was. I read this thing today, this meme around the grass is greener. And the grass is green where you water it. And so if we pay attention to these aspects of life that actually are causing us disharmony because we're not paying attention to them, we can flourish and they can actually turn into green pastures that can benefit us and teach us. I'm going to get up now and I'm going to show you something, because when I started doing the work and stopped leaving, or rather started checking, I'm coming to you, darling.
Oh,
started checking who I was, this beautiful being came into my life.
Tell him what I'm doing. I look like a freak.
Like a cute freak. She's steaming because she's a little bit unwell. So she's just doing a steam.
My difficulty is I can't breathe.
Her difficulty is she can't breathe, but she's acknowledging it, and then she's taking action on it. She's facing it. She's facing it head on, literally, with the essential oils and the hot steaming water. And guess what? The difficulty of not breathing will pass surely. That's a really good analogy. That's a fucking good analogy. And so she has that tremendous opportunity because she's actually looking at it and not pretending she's not sick. She actually is acknowledging that she is. So beautiful people, I want to love you and leave you. And I want to say, I hope that helped a little bit. I hope that's given you some insight into the power of difficulty and challenge and fear and pain. Because you know what? Pain can be our friend. Fear can be our friend. We don't have to stay there for days and weeks and months and hours. And Christine's got her thumbs up and nodding. You nodding, darling? Yeah, you're nodding. She's very cute when she's sick. Not that I want her to be sick at all, because that's not good, but she's super cute. Now she's looking at me. So difficulty, pain, fear is something that can actually serve us. It can help us, and it can help us live an enriched, empowered life. So many blessings to you. I'll speak to you soon.